you've seen my Glow Up at 30 video, then you know that one of my like goals or resolutions about turning 30 was finding workouts that I really enjoyed and that I didn't hate and that focused more on abs. So about 2 months ago, I took it upon myself that I was going to do Pilates every single day for 2 months. I learned a lot about my body and control and form. I think it helped me establish a workout routine and like split that is like really working for my body and like my goals and how I want to feel. And spoiler alert, it does not involve doing Pilates every day. Part of my 2-month challenge was doing the Pilates by Izzy 25-day challenge, which kicked my butt. If you're like new to doing YouTube Pilates at home, I wanted to share some of my favorite instructors, some like beginning tips, and kind of like any equipment that you might need, especially for the 25-day challenge. Didn't really see anyone saying like, oh, this is like everything you need when you start. And so I wanted to like lay out some tips of like things to have on hand before you start the challenge. By the way, I don't want anyone to be expecting like a before and after because I totally forgot to take an after picture. And the reality is I have not really been working out the past few weeks because right after I finished my 2-month challenge, I started PMSing and I was super bloated and I was like, probably not the best time to take an after picture. And then I got the super flu and I was so down for the count, and then I was traveling for the holidays, and I'm literally just now getting back into the swing of working out. And while I still do feel like my core is stronger than it was, like I looked really good at the end of the 2-month challenge before I started bloating. I wish I had taken like an after picture like a week before I actually finished my challenge, because that would have shown you the gains that I made. But what I will say is that my clothes definitely fit different. They fit a little looser around the waistband. They do fit a lot tighter around my butt though. One thing my husband mentioned is he was like, your butt is like really like making gains, which was something I didn't expect with Pilates, but especially with the Pilates by Izzy, the 25-day challenge, I felt like it was really glute heavy for me specifically rather than quads. I was expecting it to be a lot more ab heavy, which it is, but a lot of times I was struggling more with like the glute exercises than anything else. And I definitely have noticed a difference in my glute. From like a functional perspective, I pretty much took like a break from weightlifting because I just didn't have time to do both things, like doing Pilates and the 25-day challenge and going to the gym to do weightlifting. But when I did have time to do both, when I would do things like leg press or squat, I was able to press so much more than I was before when I started doing Pilates. And I think a lot of it was my increased ab strength, because just having a strong core and like a strong foundation just like helps with your weightlifting so much. And I felt like my control with weightlifting has like improved so much. So I'm so sorry I don't have like good before and after pictures, or like I don't know why I didn't do measurements or anything like that, but my weight didn't change at all. But I definitely feel like I put on muscle through this challenge. My very first tip is to not start with the Pilates by Izzy 25-day challenge. Izzy is an amazing Pilates instructor, but she's really more of like a moderate to advanced Pilates instructor. And I think it's really important to start with Pilates basics, even if you don't feel like you are a beginner at working out or anything like that. Pilates takes a lot of like control and focusing on certain parts of your body and focusing on certain muscle groups when you're doing certain exercises. You can't just move through the motions. And so I think establishing a foundation with Pilates and getting used to some of like the movements that you see through a lot of Pilates workouts is really essential, and getting kind of like established with the mind body like muscle connection and like breathing through correctly through certain movements and stuff like that. Brings me to my second tip. I have tried so many Pilates instructors, and I think that when you are starting out, do not do a silent workout. You need to have someone who does a voiceover at least, because they are giving you tips on how to do the exercise correctly so that you don't hurt yourself, but also that you're doing it correctly and getting the most out of the workout. I'm not going to call anyone out, but there are some really popular Pilates instructors on YouTube, and they do completely silent workouts, and I would do them and I would be like, yeah, this is good, like I'm feeling a burn. But when I would do a very, very similar workout with someone like Move with Nicole, who does a voiceover, I would feel it so much more, because she's telling you where you need to focus your mind and like gives you little corrections so that you make sure that you're doing the move correctly and safely. and you get way more out of your workout. Now, if you absolutely hate having a voiceover, you really do want to work out in silence, I do have a recommendation for you, and that is Marie Steffens. She doesn't do voiceovers, but she does put very helpful text on the screen that helps ensure your form. Again, like, I know it is a little bit of personal preference, but I really think that it is essential to have tips on how to maintain good form and to do the exercise correctly so that you make sure that you're getting the most out of it. Because otherwise, like, it's a waste of your time if you're not going to do the exercise correctly and like max out your time. You are starting out, I really like Move with Nicole. I know that's like a recommendation that a lot of people give, but she really is awesome. I also really like Lottie Murphy. She has some really fantastic workouts, and I really like her personality and style. I'm also going to make a blog post with all of my favorite Pilates workouts that I tried during these 2 months. So I will link to that in the description. I'm going to sort it out by like easy, medium, advanced, and like also like this is a 10-minute workout just for abs, or like this is 15 minutes for arms, or this is my favorite one that's 10 minutes for legs, or whatever it is. Just some of my favorite ones that I found during this 2-month experiment that I did. Now, the Pilates by Izzy 25-day challenge. So after I had done like kind of beginner Pilates for a month every single day, now I didn't do like 35-minute workouts every single day. Like some days I would just do like a 10-minute workout. Like I just did whatever I could during that day, just to kind of like establish consistency and kind of like build that muscle mind connection, you know, by doing Pilates moves every single day and kind of figuring out like what Pilates instructors I liked, what kind of styles I liked, and stuff like that. It did not prepare me for how challenging I would find the 25-day challenge. I'm gonna include a TikTok I made about like my very first workout that I did with the 25-day challenge, and then I did it again after I completed the challenge, and like it's still challenging obviously, but like it just went by so much easier in a way because it had built up my endurance so much. I felt like I did not have endurance going into the challenge, and the 25-day challenge really helped my endurance and really helped my glute strength, really helped my ab strength. I wish it had helped with my arms a little bit more, but I'm going to explain that a little bit more when I get into the equipment. That was kind of on me a little bit, so that's why I'm going to explain what equipment I recommend that you kind of get before going into the challenge. Now, the first thing you're going to need is a yoga mat. You can get a cheap one if you are tight on money. Mine I have had for, gosh, a million years. This one is from Jade Yoga. I really like this one because it's kind of like rubbery. And so I find that it really helps with like grip and stuff like that when I'm doing workouts. So I really like this yoga mat, but get whatever you like. The next thing you're gonna need are some resistance bands. Now, when I started out, I got these really cheap rubbery ones from like Five and Below. I think they were like $3 or $5. I do not recommend getting rubber ones. I know they are cheaper. They are going to slip down your legs and it's going to drive you bananas. What I recommend instead, my husband actually ended up getting me these for Christmas after I finished the challenge, are these like fabric ones. They're not that much more expensive. They're going to be like maybe $5 to $10 more that you would spend. But they are not going to slip down your legs because they have this like rubbery on the inside, but they're thicker and they're just more comfortable. Like the rubber ones, like it feels like it's cutting off your circulation. These are so much more comfortable. I have it in 3 different sizes, a like light, medium, and like high resistance. So I recommend getting some fabric resistance bands. The next thing you're gonna need is a Pilates ball. I just got this one off Amazon. It was super cheap. I can link it. You're going to need this for probably like 2 or 3 workouts, not a ton of them. Honestly, you don't really need this one. Like if you are tight on money and you're looking to avoid buying one thing, I think it would be the Pilates ball. I think most of the time she says like, oh, you really don't need this, but it does increase the resistance and like the depth. I recommend getting it, but like if you're looking to avoid buying one thing, probably this. Also, I don't have mine with me right now, but some yoga blocks. But again, you really don't need those. If you're looking to avoid buying one thing, you can always just use something like a really thick book like Harry Potter or something like that. You only need it for a few workouts. It's not that many, so you could probably make do with something else in your house, but I do have just like some foam yoga blocks. The last thing you're gonna need are some hand weights. So I started off this challenge with just these 2-pound weights that have like dog teeth marks in them. I've had them a million years. I don't know why my dog tried to chew this as a bone. That sounds really uncomfortable for her. I started off with 2 pounds. I don't recommend starting off with this weight. I think it's too light. I ended up buying like halfway through the challenge some 3-pound weights. I bought 2 of these. What I recommend getting are 2 3-pound weights and 2 5-pound weights. I think that's a good place to start. Plan on going back and buying some 5-pound weights. So I think Izzy uses like 4 or 5-pound weights like all the time because those are the only hand weights she uses. She like mentions that several times in her videos. So I think it's good to have 2 sets of weights, like one that's like lighter that you can use for like really repetitive movements that like 5 pounds would just like absolutely kill your arms and like make them fall off. 5 pounds, like when you're doing things like shoulder presses, for me, I felt like 3 pounds was too light. Like I just wasn't feeling the burn as well as I would have liked to. And I wish I had bought 5 pounds to really kind of like get a better workout in. Because for things like that, or like when I'm doing squats or something like that, like I can handle doing 5-pound weights, but if I'm doing arm circles with 5-pound weights, like probably not. So I think it's good to have 2 weight options just so you can like easily switch them out. I also don't recommend getting weights that are shaped like this because you are sometimes doing like push-ups on the weights. And when it's this shape, it's like kind of uncomfortable. You can just like put it to the side and then you can grab it if you're like doing a push-up and then you like go into a row or something like that. But what I would recommend is getting weights like this where it's going to kind of take some of the pressure off of your hand if you're in a push-up position. But I don't recommend getting these. Weights like these, a 3 and a 5-pound set, that's what I recommend. For me, I felt like this was so helpful to kind of learn if I like Pilates, which I do, but for me, it's helped me learn that I don't want to do Pilates every day. It made me like really kind of burned out from everything, but that it's a great workout to do at home when I can't get to the gym because I have a biological child and a baby foster daughter, and so it's hard to get away to go to the gym every single day and do weightlifting. And also I don't like doing weightlifting every day, but doing a combination of the two is for me kind of like the sweet spot for working out and feeling my best. And I think this 2-month challenge helped me figure that out, that I was like really missing doing some weightlifting. Even though I really loved Pilates, I like mixing the 2 things. And don't let anyone tell you that you have to like choose a path. You have to be a weightlifting baddie or you have to be a Pilates princess. Like really and truly, I think it's like a great mixture of both, like doing light weights that are repetitive movements help you tone, and then lifting really heavy is good for your bones. Like as women, like we really need that. I think mixing it up is really good for our bodies too. I don't have any literature right now to back that up, but I think that kind of mixing it up, mixing up our workouts, challenging our bodies in these different ways is good for our bodies. So just my personal opinion, my split is now looking like going to the gym 2 to 3 times a week. The other days of the week, I'm doing Pilates at home. I'm either doing Lottie Murphy, Move with Nicole, or Pilates by Izzy. When I'm able to go to the gym, I'm doing the Stairmaster for cardio, and I'm trying so hard to incorporate more steps to get my body moving a little bit more. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you're starting your Pilates journey, let me know. If there are instructors that I need to check out too, please share them down in the comments, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.